Hello, my friends. Today I want to try to teach you something useful, okay? Because I realize that in a lot of these videos I'm just like yapping, which is, sometimes people love that. But I do want to give you some tips, right, for how to go about approaching the MAIS, assuming that you're starting to get some interest in it, because by now I've done like a million of these videos, and maybe you're thinking, okay, this is kind of a journey that I would like to go on, but how do I get started doing this? Like, what do I do? So today I specifically want to talk about how to decide how you want to put your degree together. Okay, so like, the MAIS works really similarly to the BA or BSIS. So in these degrees, you're basically going to take 2 foundation schools and then put them together to create a new thing. So an example that I like to use, because I think it's really easy to conceptualize, is arts management. Right? So let's say that your dream is to be like a museum curator. That's what you really want to do. And you're a visual artist, you've studied some art history, right? And this is kind of, that this is your dream career and everything. Okay, so you would start with that. You would start with your dream job and you would say, this is what I want to do. Look at the gaps that you need to fill in. Like, maybe your foundation in the arts is quite good, but you don't necessarily have a lot of experience in management, right? So in that case, you might decide to choose the BAS school, right? Arts, Humanities, and Technology. And then the School of Management, JSOM. And those would be your foundation schools. And then between those 2 schools, you can take courses that make sense together, right, for this particular career that you want, or this path that you want to go on. So you would take courses in management, and you would also take courses in art history and the arts. And with those 2 pieces coming together, you will blend them together and make something new, right, which is arts management. It's its own specific thing. Similarly, nonprofit management, you might take courses in, sociology, and then also courses in management, nonprofit management, which we do have. And another thing that you can do is build your degree on a certificate. So for example, we do have a nonprofit management certificate at UT Dallas, offered through, I believe it's offered through the business school, through JSOM. So then you could start with those core courses for the certificate as like a foundation, and then build on those and add in your, sociology or whatever courses that you want to take. So I just wanted to give you something useful so that you're not sitting here watching these videos thinking, okay, I'm kind of interested, but tell me how it works. That's basically how it works. I think it's a really good idea to start with what you want to do next. Most of our graduates are this is going to be their terminal degree, right? They're probably not going to move on in academia, like into a PhD, although you can. There's no reason why you can't. But, just typically that's less common. So think about what your dream job is, I want to be, and especially if your job is something that blends, 2 kind of disparate things like management and the arts that you typically are not going to get. Like, if you take a lot of management courses, if you major in, business analytics, or get an MBA or do marketing or something like that, you're not going to really have any room to add art into, or visual arts, or theater or music. That's not included in your degree plan. You're not allowed to just be like, hey, for my master's in marketing, I need an elective. I want to take, some music classes because I really want to do marketing in the music industry. You can't do that. And that's a drawback to these degrees sometimes, is that, maybe you want to go into marketing, but you also know specifically what type of marketing or what industry. Okay, well, too bad, right? You have to figure that out on your own and go take those classes on your own, or just make it work. So this gives you an opportunity to really create something that is tailored for you. Another thing to think of is, you know, the marketing program at UT Dallas, well, it's really strong and people do well after they graduate. It is very quantitatively focused, and anyone on the faculty would probably will tell you that. I've had faculty members say that to me outright when I was in the marketing program here, and it took me some time to realize that it wasn't the right program for me, but eventually I did realize it, and moved over to the MAIS for that reason, because I know that I like doing, you know, sort of, I knew that I really liked more of the creative side of marketing and strategic side of marketing. And I did actually, when I took marketing by numbers, which is the sort of the foundational, it's kind of like your requirement for fills your quantitative requirement, blah, if I can get it out of my mouth. So it's like a sort of a basic sort of data analysis course, and it teaches you how to do multiple regression analysis and stuff like that. And I did really, really well in it, and I think it's because I understood it conceptually though, and also because maybe partly due to my age being older, I understood better how to apply it in the real world, because I've lived in the real world like 20 years longer than most of the students in my class, if not more. And so I did really well at it, but I also knew like this isn't really what I want to do in my career. Like I don't want to, you know, look at regression tables and you know, make data-driven decisions or whatever. I mean, all decisions should be driven by data to some extent, but to me, the part of marketing that I enjoy, love, and really thrive on is the creative side and the strategic side, and coming up with ideas, seeing if they work, and also the storytelling, the writing, the content creation, making videos, writing scripts, writing copy, telling a story, coming up with the design and the visual aesthetics of a brand and a campaign. So the role, you can start there, right? You can be like, what do I really like doing? What do I want to do? When I get up in the morning and go to work, what do I want to be doing during the day? What is my dream job, right? So if you decide, okay, my dream job is creative director, that's what I want to do. So maybe it makes sense for you to build that with some courses from BAS school, right? Arts, Humanities, Technology, maybe a variety of courses over there, UI, UX, visual arts, maybe some critical media studies where you're learning about aesthetics, maybe doing some design, maybe some graphic design, maybe some even some photography and videography type stuff, and then also be taking like marketing courses, entrepreneurial courses, management courses, organizational leadership courses. You put those together, right? And especially at the master's level, if you've got some work experience, now you're really on a strong path to that creative director role or artistic director role. That's your dream. So rather than yap about my own experience this week, I wanted to give you some maybe some more practical advice about the MA, and also to tell you that I'm working on new print materials for the MA that I'm really excited about. And as far as my own coursework goes, in my capstone now, I've turned in a reading list and a few entries of an annotated bibliography. I've formulated sort of a working thesis and some research questions. I'm not going to tell you what they are yet, because even in the last like 3 days of reading, I can already tell you that they're changing again. So that's normal, you know. I mean, I haven't started actually writing the thing yet. Once I, you know, get closer to that point, I'm going to have to make some hard decisions. I have so much that I want to learn about, so much that I want to say about these topics, and it's hard to pin down, but I got to do it. I will tell you that I'm reading 2 really good books right now. One is called Down Girl, The Logic of Misogyny by Kate Mann, which I checked out from our library here, that kind of formulates a definition of misogyny as a systemic, as more of a system than an individual viewpoint. So that's very interesting. And then the other book is called Girl on Girl. And I think the subtitle is how Pop culture turned a generation of women against themselves. It focuses on late 90s and early 2000s pop culture and kind of the sexism and objectification and how it got kind of women involved in their own objectification. So that's also really interesting and really germane to what I'm studying. I'm leaning more towards talking about internalized misogyny and lateral violence in internet cultures, with different case studies of that. So that's what I am working on. I'm reading a lot. I'm reading about an hour a day, and probably will have to ramp it up at some point. I'm also listening to an audiobook of Down Girl while I read it, which is really helpful. And I think that's it. I'm gonna cut this video off because it's getting long. As always, please subscribe, please, if you haven't yet. Please, if you're interested in the MAIS and you want to know more about my experience, please go back and watch the whole playlist. If you know somebody who you think the MA might be good for them, please send them this video, have them reach out to me. My email address is in the description box down below. And I think that's it. I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.